Stephen, we're here in the Gene Ireland Progeny Test Centre in Tully, County Kildare. Tell me a little bit about what happens here in the sheds behind us.
Well, Adam, this is one of three main sheds we have at the facility. We have a throughput of about 750 animals annually. It's an all-indoor system. And what we're trying to do here is collect information on progeny from AI sires of interest. So these are AI sires that are widely used in the industry, as well as new AI sires that are coming through. So what happens is all these animals are sourced directly from farms, 20 progeny per sire in the form of heifers, steers and bulls. We purchase these animals about 4 months prior to slaughter. And when the animals come in, they go on a 30-day acclimatization period. And when they get used to their diet and used to their environment, and then we put them on a 90-day performance test. And what happens in that is we weigh the animals every few weeks to see their live weight gain. But really what we do at Tully that's quite different, that we can't do in an on-farm environment, is we look to record hard to record and expensive traits. So those three main traits are feed intake. So you can see the feed intake system around us. It's an Instantech system. So that records throughout the day what the animals are eating. Then we also record methane. So we have 6 green feed boxes on site here at the moment, and that measures the methane output of these animals. And we also then, when these animals are slaughtered at the end of their 120 days on site here, then we collect meat quality data. So that's meat eating quality and for tenderness, juiciness and flavour, but it's also meat yield, where we look at 19 individual cuts of meat in the carcass and we evaluate that. And the whole idea is to gather this information. Some of it's in the current terminal and replacement indexes, such as feed intake, but we're also looking at future traits, like the methane, like the meat eating quality that we see coming down the line for farmers. And all that goes into the evaluation and feeds into the indexes. As I said, feed intake is currently feeding into the index, and that's increasing the reliability behind the sires out there in the industry. And I suppose importantly to mention as well that not only do we collect data on these animals when they're in Tully, but this data is collected on farm. So throughout their lifetime, from birth right through to slaughter.
Why are more profitable farms producing less methane?
Well, I suppose there's a number of factors related to it. And if you look at the larger methane picture, one of the key things is age at slaughter. So those farmers would have been using good grass utilisation. So they would have been ensuring the animals were doing good live weight gains throughout their lifetime and getting to a slaughter age much younger, because really age at slaughter is one of the key ways we can reduce methane output in the lifetime of an animal. More importantly, when we look at the national suckler herd, over 900,000 cows at the moment, the higher index cows are producing less methane by up to just over 0.5%. So that's a really good story for the industry.
So the current direction we're going in is helping us in terms of methane emissions?
So the average suckler cow had a replacement index in 2015 at the start of BDGP of €78. That's now €100 in 2020. We've gone from a €4 increase in genetic gain annually up to €7 this year. So back in 2015 it was €4. So we hope to increase that year on year and get that then up to a reduction of 1% annually per cow in terms of greenhouse gases. Over 10 years, that's 10%. So when you look at breeding, we can look at over a 10-year period of achieving a 10% reduction.
So Paul, Stephen talked to us about methane and I guess the work that's going on here in Tully. Tell me a little bit about how you measure methane, how you physically do that with cattle.
Okay, Adam, so there's 3 different ways that you can measure methane. You can put them in respiration chambers, where you put the animal in the chamber and you measure all the gases they produce. You can use the SF6 method, whereby you put a bolus within their stomach and they release SF6 gas, and we can use that to estimate methane production. And then the system that we use here in Tully is the green feed system. So that's a machine that's brought in from the States. And basically the way that machine works is each animal is fitted with an RFID tag within their ear. And so when the animal approaches the machine, a piece of bait feed is dropped for the animal. So roughly about 30 grams every 30 seconds is dropped for the animal. The idea, obviously, that is to entice the animals to use the machine. So while the animal's standing at the machine and consuming the feed, an extractor fan up the top of the unit will suck all the air surrounding the animal's head. And we'll bring it into the machine, pass it by sensors, and then we're able to get an accurate estimation of the animal's methane output.
Stephen talked about 3 different ways of reducing methane emissions: reduce livestock numbers, we say use dietary supplements, or change the feed that we feed to animals, or use breeding. What, in your opinion, is the most, I guess, beneficial way to reduce methane emissions, or is it a combination of each of those 3?
So as you said, it's a combination of it's a combination of dietary means and of breeding. So the idea would be that while we can breed animals to produce less methane, that's obviously going to be a long-term strategy. So in the meantime, while we're trying to decrease the methane going down the breeding route, we can looking at dietary supplementation, or, as I said, increasing the quality of grass that animals are feeding, or increasing maybe a little bit of concentrate that the animal's eating. And also we can look at supplements for the diet. So there is supplements out there on the market, or not in the market, but they're getting tested. A supplement called 3-nitro-oxypropanol. And that has been shown to reduce methane output by nearly up to 60% in some studies. So that's obviously, it's a bit of research that's going on at the moment. Then research is starting in supplementation strategies in Teagasc Grange and Teagasc at Conroy with Sinead Waters on Metabate is the project. So that will be looking at supplementation strategies, and then we can also look at maybe supplementing fat to the animals. But again, that's a little bit of a tricky avenue to go down, because the more fat that you feed the animal, that can tend to impact fibre digestion. So it's kind of just trying to get the balance right then. So if you put fat into the diet, trying to decrease methane, but also not having that negative effect on fibre digestion.
Okay, Paul, it's not simple. Thanks very much.